Hi everyone, welcome to UC Merced's PreGROW webinar. We'll get started in just one more minute, waiting for a couple other people to log in. So just sit tight and we'd love to know who you are. So as we start every webinar, we would love for you to type your name in the chat, where you're from, and which program you'll be joining this fall. Okay, I think we can go ahead and get started. Welcome everyone. Just as a reminder, you are at UC Merced's PreGROW webinar. Today is the Graduate Division Office Hour. So to get started, I will go ahead and introduce myself. My name is Jessica Ventura. I'm the Graduate Recruitment Manager here at UC Merced. I work on the admissions and recruitment team, and I'm excited to connect with all of you today and introduce you to all of my amazing teammates. So I'll go ahead and hand it off to Jen Karalte, and she can go ahead and introduce herself.
Hi, everyone. My name is Jen Karalte, and I am charged with the events and programs within the graduate division. And so GROW and some of our other feature events are on my list of to-dos. And so you'll be hearing a lot from myself and Jess over the next couple of weeks and months. And so we're really excited to have you all joining UC Merced. And we hope that you will ask a lot of questions because we are here to answer them. And again, excited to have you all here. And I will pass it over to, let's do recruitment, or sorry, let's do admissions. So I'm not sure who's here.
Hi, everyone. My name is Tanya Macias. I'm the Admissions and Academic Services Coordinator for the Graduate Division.
Hi, everyone. My name is Angel Comer, and I am the Graduate Admissions Specialist here at the UC Merced Graduate Division. Oh, and I will pass it on to Cassie.
Hi, everyone. My name is Cassie Gunter. I'm the Graduate Resource Coordinator for Graduate Division. I work on retention and professional development programming. So if you're part of Summer Bridge, our peer mentorship program, and any of our professional development series, you'll hear from me. I'll pass it over to Martine.
Okay, do we have anyone from Grad Funding here?
Hi, everyone. I'm here, Jen.
Okay, thanks, Chua.
Yeah. So my name is Chua, and I am representing the Grad Funding unit.
Thanks, Chua.
Yeah.
Okay, so today's session is just an open office hour. Our goal for the day is to really connect with all of you and help answer any questions that you may have as you're making your way to UC Merced and towards the beginning of GROW. We have just a couple slides of important information that we wanted to share with you. So our first slide, we just wanted to cover GROW and what GROW is, and just remind you of the deadlines and the dates. So for that, Jen is going to tell you a little bit about what GROW is and what you can expect over that week. Jen?
Yeah, thanks, Jess. So you all have been receiving emails at this point about GROW, which is Graduate Student Orientation Week. And so GROW is a week of in-person events that are dedicated to satisfying different training sessions, as well as TA training and other important information that we think is really valid and will help you all to create a toolkit essentially to have a really successful graduate student career. And so some of those trainings are, like I said, teaching orientation, because the likelihood that you will have to teach a course throughout your graduate career is very high. Most programs, it is required unless you are self-funded for some that don't require it. But I believe all of them now, all PhD programs, at least at this point, require you to teach a course for at least one semester or a year. So we have that's satisfied. Also, there's additional trainings that the University of California requires you to attend, which is sexual harassment prevention training. Office of Research and Economic Development. So it's also an opportunity to get to know some of the staff, to build a cohort with the people that you'll be spending the next couple of years with, which is really critical in having a successful graduate student career. And so this starts on August 15th, which is also the first day that your insurance is valid as a graduate student if you decide to use UC SHIP, which is our insurance for the graduate student community. Also, we should also note that it's in person and it is required. You are required to attend and be in person on the first day of GROW. It satisfies your requirements, and it is also important that, like I said, you develop this cohort, and being here in person and engaged is really, really important. So if you have questions about GROW as we're kind of going through this, please feel free to dump them in the chat. We can answer them as a group, and I can also individually answer them. But that's kind of just this broad overview. In addition to the sessions that Graduate Division has as mandatory provided by UCOP, UCOP, which is our University of California Office of the President. We also have additional trainings that the schools require you to attend. So if you're in the School of Natural Sciences and you are in let's say applied math, they may have some courses that they require their applied mathematics students to take over a couple of days. So we'll provide you with that schedule. And so it's really important that if you have questions, you reach out and you ask those so that we can give you the best information possible. Okay. Otherwise, if you don't have any GROW questions just yet, we can kind of talk about the other things that we have, and you can kind of push them in there. Okay. David, if you do have a GROW, Jess, do you want to take questions as they come in, or do you want to wait?
I think we can. Let's go ahead and answer, help David out. So David, do you want to go ahead and unmute and ask us your question?
Yeah, okay, so in regarding to GROW funding / payment, are we considered our first day of paid work as the 15th, or is it the first day of course? Because I'm assuming our first actual paycheck will be partial for August, which we would,
Yep, you are absolutely correct. So it starts, so all new hire paperwork comes in, has to be in by August 16th, which is required by all students. So we will have sessions for you to complete that new hire paperwork and get it in with payroll services. And then you are correct. That is when the pay begins. So you will have a partial paycheck on September 1. So September 1, that's why we tell students that we encourage them to also plan accordingly financially, because your full paycheck, you will not get one until October 1, because we are paid the month after the fact. So September 1 paycheck will be a half paycheck, a partial paycheck. October 1 will be your full paycheck.
okay, and then just to clarify, our first payday then, our first day of paid work is the 15th.
I believe so. Let me double check on that and get that back to you. I can Teams them just to double check, but I believe so. Yeah, contractually, that is the first day of pay.
Okay, awesome. Thank you.
All right.
Right. So a couple important dates and deadlines that we want you all to be aware of. Jen mentioned this already, but August 1st is the date to waive your UC SHIP insurance. We'll have a session in a couple weeks about UC SHIP, and it will be before that date, before that deadline. But essentially, UC SHIP is a health insurance that we will be providing you unless you opt out. So if you do choose to opt out, you'll have to opt out by August 1st. And you'll also have to provide proof that you have some other form of health insurance. Your coverage, like Jen mentioned, will not begin until August 15th on the first day of GROW. Also GROW, we already covered this, but it begins August 15th, and in-person attendance is mandatory. So we do expect you to be here physically on the UC Merced campus and at the first session on August 15th.
And just to make it clear, Jess, I know this is always a question of concern for folks. You only waive your insurance if you're deciding not to take it. You are automatically enrolled into the insurance for the UC. And so you only, if you do not intend to take it, you are essentially waiving it. You are opting out. Okay, Melissa, so if we don't intend to waive ship, so if you don't intend to waive it, if you intend to use it, you are automatically enrolled. You don't have to do anything. You're only waiving it if you're saying, I don't want it, then they will pull you out. Otherwise, you are automatically enrolled into it. Okay.
Thank you, Jen. Another thing we wanted to bring up on this webinar today was just housing. So we encourage you to start looking for housing now. Don't wait. Housing can be really competitive and hard to find sometimes around here. So definitely start your search today if you haven't started already. We do have a couple resources for you to begin your housing search. And Martine can actually drop them into the chat. You'll find all of these resources in our admitted student guide. But let us know if you have questions or if you need additional guidance, and we're happy to help. Melissa, we'll get back to your question at the end. And then a couple more slides, contact us. This is just who to contact within our department. So if you have questions about your offer letter or submitting provisional or completing provisional admission requirements or anything like that, you can contact the admissions team at grad@ucmerced.edu. If you have questions about your funding package, you can contact our financial team at Grad Funding. And then if you just have questions about GROW or additional resources on our campus to help you with that transition to graduate school, you can contact Grad Resources at gradresources@ucmerced.edu. We get a lot of questions also about how to register for classes. So in order to register for classes, you'll actually want to work with your advisor or with the school staff or with the program, this graduate support staff within your school. So we've listed out their email addresses here. You can see our School of Engineering, School of Social Sciences, Humanities, and Arts, as well as our Natural Sciences staff. If you haven't received any communications from them about registering for classes, I recommend that you send them a message and get in touch. Or you can also email my team at grad@ucmerced.edu, and we're happy to connect you with the staff in each of your schools. And then finally, join us for future pre-GROW events. So today's event is just an office hour for you to ask questions. We will have more sessions that are content specific. So in the future, we'll be covering things like new hire paperwork and grad funding, insurance, as well as things that like navigating your relationship with your advisor. So definitely tune in, because each week it's going to be a little bit different. But if you can't make a session, don't worry. We will be recording them, and we'll also be uploading them to our website. So you'll be able to watch those at a future date. And that's it in terms of slides. So now I think we can go ahead and just connect with you all. We would love to hear from you, answer your questions. Feel free to turn off your mic or turn on your camera, because we'd love to see you. So I think we can get back to Melissa's question. And then if anybody else wants to ask a question, just raise your hand and we'll get to you on video too. So Melissa asked, when will you find out what you're teaching/doing for work? So that is all actually program specific, and I would encourage you to connect with your advisor to ask them what classes they expect that you'll be TAing for, or you could connect with the program staff in your school, and they should be able to provide you with that information as well. Anybody else have anything to chime in on that? No? Okay.
Yeah, those really graduate group specific questions, like what am I TAing for? What work am I expected to do? What are my expectations as a graduate student under my advisor? Those are really focused questions that we don't answer for them because it's always different. And so the expectations are questions that you need to, or conversations that you need to have with your advisor, as well as the graduate support staff coordinators. And then also the teaching too, the TA appointments frequently change often as they're kind of working through the schedules and everything. And so we also don't have access to that information until they essentially give it to us and tell them what you all will be doing. So the schools decide those appointments. And so it's best that you just contact directly with your coordinators and ask them what they are expecting you to TA for. And as I said, it may change based off of what's necessary for the program or what you all need, what the school needs. And so those can kind of fluctuate. And so it's best that you have a direct line of communication with them, because it could change possibly in between the time that we get it and something else happens. Okay.
Thank you very much for answering that question.
Yeah, sure, of course.
Welcome, Melissa.
Thank you, Melissa.
So Annabelle's asking, and I'm sure maybe some of our other international students might have a similar question about how do you go about finding an apartment if you don't have your social security number? Jen, do you want to take this one?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, that's a great question, Annabelle, and that's a valid concern, certainly with a lot of our international students, that it is hard to get housing, to find housing in a lot of spaces when you don't have a social security number and you don't have the established renter's credit, essentially, right? Like I'm blanking on the word, but essentially you don't have the history, the renter's history that places like to see. And so you have a couple of options. One, I highly suggest that you work with off-campus housing, which is one of the sites in there. Thank you, Cassie, put that in there. They will help kind of navigate the process for you and help with that. Thank you to Bethany. There's a Facebook group that helps people that sometimes you can just rent from another student or from a home that doesn't essentially require all of the documents that maybe like a rental company wants to see, like credit checks and all of that stuff. And then there's also on-campus housing that we give essentially first priority to graduate students. It's a little more expensive, to be totally honest with you, than it is to find a place off campus, but it also doesn't require any of those other things that some of these other places do. And so they do allow spouses, so that could be something. I'm not sure if you both are coming in as a pair of graduate students, or if just one of you, if just you are. So that's also an option as well. But also off-campus housing, the site, they will really help you navigate the process. And this goes for everybody. They're pretty detailed, where like if you don't, let's say an example, I live in Michigan and I can't get here until, 3 days before I'm supposed to be here on campus. And they will even walk through a site for you and kind of make sure everything looks well, and they'll kind of scope out some areas. So they're really detailed in their services to kind of help you find the best housing possible that kind of meets all of your needs. So you can give them your parameters. I have 2 kids and I want them each to have a room, and my budget is $1,200 a month, and I'd like that to have a washer and dryer, giving them all of those parameters. So that's kind of how that works. Okay. So I utilize the Facebook, utilize the off-campus and on-campus housing sites, utilize the connections that you have with the off-campus housing, like the physical people that are there, reach out to them. And then also, if you're interested in the housing, also the on-campus housing, and then also reach out to OIA, which is the Office of International Affairs, because they have the best knowledge of what you all need and how you can kind of navigate through that process. Okay.
And I'm going to take this opportunity to plug our PreGROW webinar next week. We have our Office of International Affairs office hour at, I believe, 9:30 a.m. It's next Wednesday. So that would be a great time for you to connect with Lacey from OIA, and she can give a bit more insight too.
Yep. And then just to go back real quick to David's question, David, the first paid day of the fall semester is Wednesday, August 16th. Okay. Jess, we have another question. A question about vaccination. Not sure if it belongs to today's topic. Am I right that we should be fully vaccinated, 1 component or 2 component vaccine, no later than 2 weeks before August 15th to be able to enter campus? Great question. Yes, I believe so, Alex. However, I know that these things are kind of ever changing. I know that you have to have certain vaccinations like TB tests, COVID vaccine, all of those. And Jess, when is our health services? we actually have a PreGROW webinar that will kind of go over all of the vaccinations that are necessary. So those will be recorded. So it's best if you can jump on live and get on that and ask those types of questions. That would be great. They will go over kind of everything that health insurance covers as a graduate student, your medical, your dental, your eye, your vision coverage. And then they'll also talk about vaccinations, because as we do have a lot of students from different countries that are not domestic, then different countries have different vaccination requirements. We want to make sure that everyone's up to date, everyone's on the same page, and you all know exactly what you need before arriving here. So your best bet is to attend that webinar, or you can send Grad Resources an email if you want to know before then, and then we can connect you with the appropriate person. But I don't want to say yes or no and not be fully sure, because those are kind of also ever changing based on requirements. Okay.
In the chat, I will drop in a link to all of our future PreGROW webinars so that you can record now and you'll receive a reminder closer to the date.
Yep. And then Cassie also dropped in a link for the current list of immunizations that are required. So those are also in the chat. So if you want to walk through those and look through like the TB and then all of the additional measles, varicella, which is chickenpox, tetanus,
That link also includes the dates and deadlines that you have to be immunized by.
Yep. Perfect. Yep. And then also attending the health insurance, the health services webinar will also answer a lot of those questions. Let's see. Myra is asking, where can we begin the new hire intake if we are current student employees at UC Merced? Do we, sorry, it moved up. Do we still need to complete the new hire packet? Yes, Myra, it is essentially you will break service as a student employee, and then you will move over to a graduate student employment. You can, since if you're here in Merced as a student employee, you can contact payroll services. Cassie, can you possibly drop that contact information in there and start an appointment to go and get that hire work, the new hire intake paperwork done beforehand? Aside from that, we will have the opportunities on the 15th and 16th, the first and second day of GROW, for you to complete all of that new hire paperwork. So they typically send you all of the requirements, all of the necessary information that you need to bring, because there's a lot of times that they need physical copies of, like, let's say your birth certificate, or if you're a US domestic social security number, they'll need the physical copies. So they'll send you this list, and then they'll ask you to bring in all of the requirements to your intake paperwork. Okay, but if you can get it done early and they'll take an appointment, it's best to reach out to them. That's ideal, because then on the first and second day of GROW, you know that your new hire paperwork is complete and it's out of the way, and you are good to go.
Thanks, Jen. So do we have any other questions? Feel free to unmic yourself or turn on your camera.
Yep. Yeah, again, we have people here from admissions. So if you have any admit questions or anything with that, we have people here that have resources, the folks here that do the funding processing for the for graduate students here at UC Merced. So we have a lot of good folks that kind of have a wide range of knowledge. So if you have any of those questions that have kind of been lingering, now's a great time to ask them, because if you're wondering, the likelihood is that somebody else is too. Okay. Right. Also, I should mention that you are now on our listserv for graduate students. So emails that come out once you SIR, you're put onto a listserv. So that's how all of our graduate students get communication via email. And so once you are on the listserv, you'll be receiving notifications or information. So we will be doing some summer programming. So if you happen to be in Merced and you see that email, you are more than welcome to attend and engage and kind of start to develop a cohort with your colleagues. We are happy to have you here. And so if you ever get an email that we're hosting a trivia night, maybe in July, or a pizza night at the Vista, please feel free to attend. We'd love to see you there and have you engaged a little earlier than August 15th. Okay.
And make some new friends early before
Yeah.
class.
Nothing wrong with that.
I think if we don't have any, okay, one came in, let's see. So Nariman asked, they've registered for classes and each course certainly is going to be held in a specific room. Since they're not familiar with campus, yes, so Nariman is asking basically, how can we help you find your classes or get you oriented with campus? So we can share a campus map, but better yet, during GROW, we'll actually be offering campus tours. So definitely, we encourage you when you're at GROW to take advantage of those tours and join us and come out for a walk. And if you have certain buildings that you want to know about or want us to point out where your classes are going to be, just come prepared and we'll be happy to show you then. But yes, we can definitely share a campus map ahead of time too.
Mhm. Yep, we could even have some printed and you can make notes on your physical tour if that would help too. Oh, thank you. Martine added a campus map in there. So it's nice to just kind of get familiar with it and kind of know where you're going to be. And then we can point those out on the tour as well. Yeah.
Right. I guess, oh, David, go ahead and ask your question.
Yeah, curious on if y'all have a number for the October raise for our 5-year every 6-month pay increase.
I don't.
Yeah.
I'm sure that's available if we search it. I don't have those step increases. I don't have those. I don't know if anybody else. Chua, I know you unmuted.
No, sorry, I don't either at the top of my head, but I can find out. I'll have to look into it and get back to you.
Okay, thanks, Chua. Yeah, we don't have those off the top. Although I'm sure they're.
Yeah, once things are official, normally the UAW will post them on their website, or you can go to the University of California Office of the President. They don't post numbers until they're like official and agreed upon. So we have no idea what's official or what's out there. But you can definitely check the website and that's going to tell you what's been approved and whatnot. So that's your best resource for any information that's up to date, David, is just go to each of their websites. I would start with UAW's.
I'll throw in the chat this UAW 2865 that I found, and then you can jump on it based off of school. It has each campus. I just threw it in the chat. So you can just click UC Merced and it takes you to the UAW wage tables. Now, I don't know when this was last updated, but it has April 23rd, 2023. So that's my guess. But this would be the most up-to-date information that we have. Okay.
And then Idris is asking about a WhatsApp group chat or something similar for graduate students. We don't have that in the past. We've tried to do Facebook groups for you all. We've tried to do Microsoft Team channels and they never really take off. But if a WhatsApp group chat would be helpful, we're happy to set it up. It's just nobody ever uses them. But I don't know, maybe if there's a couple students, or especially international students or even domestic students that would be interested in that, you could put a thumbs up right now, or we can just start it and we can send it out and hopefully people join. But definitely we're here to help you. So if that's what you guys want, would be helpful, we can definitely try to arrange something like that. And then Annabelle has another question. Okay, so we have two, Idris and Annabelle. Okay, we'll work on the WhatsApp group chat and get you guys a link to that. So Annabelle's asking about the funding in the offer letter. So that the value of the funding was an estimate. So we'll be sending out an employment letter. I don't know, Chua, can you read this question and do you want to maybe take it on?
Yeah, so it says it says that the value of the funding is an estimate, and that we will send the employment letter with all the information when we have that. And is there a deadline for that? So that's correct. The letter that you received is an estimate, but it's pretty close to what you will be getting. And then when you do your higher paperwork or your intake, you'll receive the exact amount that you'll be getting. So does that make sense? So that estimate is pretty close to kind of your final amount. So it might be off by just a little bit, but it's not going to be like a big difference.
So essentially they'll receive the employment letter once they've actually completed all of the new hire paperwork and their employment status is like valid,
Yeah,
right? Like they've
right.
essentially completed everything. Okay.
Right.
Okay. Perfect. Thanks, Chua.
Thank you, Chua. Annabelle, let us know if you have any other questions. Okay. Anything else that we could help you guys with? So Idris has asked you, as an international student, do you have any financial support package to assist in settling in?
Yeah, that's a great question, Idris. And we do not, the division does not offer those kind of financial support packages. Sometimes, and this is really vague, right? Sometimes faculty have different things that they can offer based off of their funding or things that they have. But initially, we do not offer anything with any students for relocation or any kind of those kind of services. Yeah, the funding packages are pretty clear across the board for folks based off of, your steps and everything. And so we don't usually do like top offs or those financial support additions. Yeah. I don't know if Chua, you have anything else to add from funding.
No, but that's what you said then.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Hey. So
Sorry, I do have another question regarding funding. I think it's going to be most people's questions.
Okay.
So I'm looking at the UWA. Thank you for that link, Jen. Very helpful. And it does look like the UC Merced is current, but I was under the impression, and it could be a wrong impression, that it was an April-October pay increase. So we would get it every 6 months. Do you know if that's correct? Because currently with the table that they've provided for the UAW, it's looking like it's an October, so an annual increase versus biannual.
Eric here. Eric,
Yeah, I was gonna say, Eric, do you have a little more? Eric's got his hand raised.
Eric, do you want to introduce yourself?
Oh, hi. Yeah, hi, I'm Eric Cannon. I'm the Director of Financial Services for Graduate Division. So for it's all related to what's agreed upon in the contract. So it's not like set every 6 months, it's just set to what was agreed upon. And so there was one last April, and then in the future contract, it's every October. So the upcoming October, there'll be one. And then the next October, so a year later, there'll be another one.
Okay. I do have an email that perhaps would be best to share with you in particular. Because it was expressed that it would be April, October over the course of the 5 years. But
Okay.
it's like it's potentially just up until 2024.
Yeah, why can you send me that email and I'll look into it for you?
Yeah.
Cool.
Thank you, Eric. Let's see. I think, David, you could send it to the gradfunding@ucmerced.edu address. And Eric and his team could work on it from there.
Will do. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. So any other questions or anything else we can help with? So let's take a look. Thanks, Jen. So our team, based on Idris and Annabelle, will work on establishing a WhatsApp group for all of you, and we'll probably be sharing that link next week in our next email communication. But thank you everyone for joining. If you have any other questions, you're always welcome to reach out to us. Next week's session is the Office of International Affairs Office Hour. So that session is really geared towards international students, but it's obviously open to anyone if anybody wanted to join. If not, definitely join us for the following week for our next webinar. But with that, I'll just say thank you to all of you for joining, and thank you to my colleagues for hopping on and sharing their knowledge with all of you. And just stay in touch. If you have questions, we're always here to help. Thank you, everyone. Have a good day.